It's 7 o'clock. Good evening and thank you for joining us on News 360 live here on TV3. I am Ayisha Yakubu.
And my name is Noble Crosby, Annan, and here are top stories tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
An easy calm returns to Boko as IGP speaks to feuding parties to lay down their arms and resort to dialogue.
Also coming up tonight, minority in parliament demands government demonstrate greater urgency and decisiveness in resolving the Boko conflict.
Joint operation by security forces in the western region results in the seizure of 5 excavators and the destruction of 8 giant pumping machines for Galamsey.
And later in business, the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy projects fuel prices to fall for the remainder of the first half of the year.
In Nigeria, authorities have banned broadcasters from playing the song Tell Your Papa, which criticizes the country's leader. The details of these and many more stories, including sports and entertainment, coming up over the next 1 hour. We're beginning from the Upper East region, where the Inspector General of Police, Christian Teteyehonu, has appealed to the Boko Naba Asigiri Abugrago Azoka II to intervene to stop the violent unrests in Boko. Speaking when he paid the overlord a courtesy call, the IGP reiterated the need for the police to collaborate with the Kusog Traditional Authority to arrest the situation. The IGP further asked for forgiveness for the death of a civilian in Wednesday's violent clash, assuring the police will be more professional in the discharge of their peacekeeping duties in the town. 1 person was confirmed dead and several others injured following violent clashes between a youth group and law enforcement officers in the area. The clash also resulted in the burning of a police barracks and the private residence of 3 police officers, including that of the Boko Divisional Police Command. The home of the majority leader in Parliament, Mahama Ayariga, was also partly burnt. Castro Senyala is our man in the Upper East region, and he'll be bringing us more details on this. But before that, let's listen to the IGP speak in Boko.
I will appeal to you to talk to the youth that hope is not lost. We are ready to assist them. And so they should put down their arms and be ready to cooperate with us so that together we'll bring peace and everlasting peace to Boko. It is not deliberate that we as peacekeepers who have got international recognition will go to a place to bring peace, and deliberately we would like to see people dying. We will not allow that. So we will always work extremely hard so that we will remain neutral. So we want to assure the Boko Naba that our men will continue to be neutral, and those elements that you feel that by the discharge of their duties, it is not making peace possible over here. I think I will have a private discussion with him later and let us know so that we can be able to bring in people who really see to the effective discharge of their duties so that peace can come to Boko.
Castro, the IGP is pleading for peace to be restored in Boko, but what was the Boko Naba's response to this?
Right. Boko Naba has assured that he will, cooperate to ensure that peace is, returned to Boko. he's been so emphatic on the need for peace to be restored. But he made several appeals, including making sure that the police, the military, and all other sister security agencies in Boko, are professional and do not harm the civilians whom he is their father. He is of the point that he believes that, yes, the police and the military or the security agencies in Boko are there for a good cause, but it's important for them to be very professional in the discharge of their duties and not go about their work such that the lives of innocent civilians are lost. He was also worried that, the recent incident that happened, the person who died was unarmed, and for that matter, he felt it wasn't necessary for the actions that led to his death. He's also been calling for, through a spokesperson, haven't minced words at all, calling for the removal of the other chief from the town so that lasting peace can be restored to Boko, where we've experienced a lot of unrest, especially Wednesday, where someone died.
Castro, you reported that a police barracks was burnt, as well as the homes of some 3 police officers as well. So paint for us a picture of the security situation currently in Boko, following also the arrival of the IGP.
Boko remains tense. Today, the IGP arrived to a mammoth crowd of youth, gathered around the Boko Naba Palace with placards, telling the IGP their frustrations, one of which they called for the removal of all the police chiefs in the region. They also asked for, the IGP to institute, as a matter of fact, immediately institute an investigation into the killing of a very key member of the youth, in Wednesday's unrests. They also demanded that, again, as the Boko Naba, through his spokesperson stressed, they also appealed strongly that the police and, in fact, the state security agencies operating in Boko and that of the government must do all they can to ensure that they get the other chief from the other side out. Otherwise, they will not understand the situation at all. Yes, they understand that there is a need for there to be peace, as the IGP has been appealing, but they also made these requests and also asked that the IGP also speaks to his men so that they are very professional. And once that is done, they will cooperate as far as peace negotiation talks are concerned.
Kasha, before we let you go, we're aware that the minority is not happy about the IGP's address to the youth, and we know you've been speaking with him. What clarity did he bring to this?
Right. So I think along the interact that the attention of the IGP was brought to the fact that he made a statement where he said he implored the youth of the Kusa traditional area to lay down their arms and let peace prevail. And he said, in his own opinion, as IGP, he thinks that when these youth lay down their arms and he stays in Boko for a night and doesn't hear a gunshot, he is going to make sure that he assists them, not only because they are from there, but generally youth who would want to come to the police service for them to get employment where they would be gainfully employed. That was what he said. And so later on, I caught up with him where he explained that he only meant to say that there was a need for the youth to be engaged in other things other than being in Boko, where trouble seemed to be brewing and the youth are agitated. He was very strong in denying that his comments did not have to do with the fact that he was going to provide jobs or police recruitment positions or placements for a specific group of people to the detriment of the other people in the country. He also spoke of the fact that he had noticed that the recruitment process of the Ghana Police Service is centralized, or it is only in Accra. And so he felt that it would be important for him to take a real look at it, where he decentralizes the process to cover other regions where they come and do what they do in Accra, to allow for a lot of the youth in the region and by extension the Kusok area for them to also join the service. He says that once they join, he's known very, credible and very hardworking policemen who came or who come from the Boko area, who have been very, very hardworking, and who come from the Kusok area specifically, who have been very, very hardworking. And for that matter, he believes that if the police service also returns to fetch, people from the Kusok area, into the service, it wouldn't be a disappointment, and they will bring good name to the police and that of the coastal traditional area. That was what he's been saying. We can listen to what he said in this response.
Right, Castro, thank you so much. We'll listen to that in our subsequent bulletins. Castro Senyala is our man in the Upper East region, bringing us up to date on the uneasy calm in Boko and also the outcome of the IGP's visit there.
Well, the minority is not too impressed with the IGP's approach. They are demanding that government demonstrate greater urgency and decisiveness in the Boko conflict, which has so far claimed more than 3,000 lives. The caucus, who also slammed the IGP over a recruitment promise to the youth, expressed fear that failure to implement a sustainable resolution will escalate the conflict, suggesting that the current approach is not helping. Judge Queening has more in this report.
The Boko crisis has moved beyond a security concern, and this the minority finds worrying.
It is evident that the current approach to addressing the conflict has not been sufficient to restore calm. The government must demonstrate greater urgency and decisiveness. The deteriorating situation in Boko is a national concern, and the government must take immediate action to prevent further escalation.
The minority wants government to proffer sustainable resolution to a crisis which has so far claimed more than 3,000 lives.
In order to de-escalate the situation in the Boko enclave, it is important that we get all parties involved to lay down their tools. But for me, it will be absurd to recruit people into the security services based on the fact that they've laid down their tools. What it means, that if you do not even meet the criteria to be recruited into the security service, you will be recruited into the security service because you have laid down your tool. That obviously is not the way to go. It is important that we deal with the Boko issue once and for all.
It further described as unfortunate remarks by the Inspector General of Police, Christian Teteyonu, that the service will recruit the youth if they lay down their tools. This, they contend, has a tendency to escalate the tension.
We are showing responsibility. We won't come and speak the way they spoke. But one of the key statements they made was that anytime they are in power,
There is peace in Boko.
there is peace in Boko. And that it is when the MPP is in power that the conflict escalates and it gets out of hand. In this case, they are in power. They must show responsibility.
Well, President John Dramani Mahama has also strongly condemned the recent resurgence of violence in Boko, describing the situation as deeply unfortunate and preventable. The president says he has spoken to the Asante Otumfuo II to assist restore lasting stability to the area.
President Mahama highlighted the tragic consequences of a violent incident that erupted at a local market in Boko Wednesday, April 9, during a keynote address at the graduation parade of officers cadets at the Ghana Military Academy on Friday. The president described the situation as unfortunate.
Only 2 days ago, an incident in a marketplace triggered an unfortunate loss of lives and criminal vandalism of property. I wish to emphasize that nobody gains from this situation of conflict and insecurity. We have triggered the Otumfuo mediation process, which saw all stakeholders participate in discussions in Kumasi on a roadmap towards peace. I'm assured by the Asante that the process will resume next week.
President Mahama reaffirmed his government's support for the mediation process led by the Asante Otumfuo II, describing the initiative as inclusive, constructive, and the best path towards lasting peace.
Meta, the parent company of Facebook, has taken action to remove posts linked to the ongoing Boko conflict in Ghana. This follows an investigation by Ghana Facts, which revealed that the platform was being used to incite violence through coded messages. The digital fact-checking outlets observed that individuals involved in the conflict had resorted to using local languages and coded terms to bypass Facebook's automated content moderation system. These tactics allowed harmful messages to spread undetected, prompting Ghana Fact to alert Meta. In response, Meta launched a review and subsequently removed the flagged posts. Farai Marabani, Meta's Public Policy Manager for Sub-Saharan Africa confirmed that the post violated the platform's community standards. This move comes amid growing global pressure on Meta to strengthen its moderation efforts and prevent the spread of violence inciting content. Ghana Fact is, however, concerned by its removal to take action against subtle and sometimes explicit threats and hateful rhetorics. This intervention is timely as recent tensions continue to fuel the Boko conflict, raising national concern.
Well, there's a stern warning from the president. President John Dramani Mahama is warning individuals behind acts of violence and criminality to brace themselves, as government says it will deal decisively with all such allegations. He says no one will be spared as thorough investigations are conducted.
Let me reiterate that we will take all allegations of crime seriously and trigger our security service investigative machinery to go after criminals, no matter who they are. But let me state emphatically also that we do not have the resources and time to engage in any game of smoke and mirrors.
Turning his attention to the newly commissioned officers, President Mahama urged them to lead with integrity, courage, and humility.
Graduates, this is a noble and sacrificial profession, respected by all men and women, that you are being commissioned into today. You must sustain and enhance the momentum and add to the gains of your forebears and be ready to defend Ghana even at the peril of your lives.
President Mahama also used the occasion to address issues bordering the welfare of both active and retired military personnel. He affirmed his administration's resolve to improve the conditions of service for Ghana's armed forces.
We will address the most pressing concerns of our troops, starting with the need for quality housing. We will focus on constructing new housing units in the barracks while refurbishing dilapidated and abandoned military accommodation across the nation. Within a 24-hour economy, the Engineer Corps will also be licensed to participate in commercial ventures for the Ghana government and will be paid for it. This will go alongside expanding and equipping the Engineer Corps to undertake national emergency projects. Your skills will not only protect the nation, but will also help support the 24-hour economy initiative.
The commissioning parade, a ground celebration of military tradition and pride, was attended by high-ranking military officers, government dignitaries, foreign diplomats, and families of the graduating cadets. President Mahama concluded by stressing the critical role of the Ghana Armed Forces in safeguarding national peace and development.
I urge our citizens in discharging this complementary duty of helping to safeguard our security, not to behave like the shepherd boy in the famous fable who cried, "Wolf, wolf," when there was no wolf. If we behave like that boy, either for partisan or parochial interest, we distract the attention of our security services from focusing on their critical job of keeping us safe.
Joseph Armstrong, Good Alibi TV3, Accra.
A joint operation by the Western Naval Command, Takrady Air Force, and Western Central Command of the Ghana Police Service, TAQWA, has resulted in the seizure of 5 excavators and the destruction of 8 giant pumping machines in the Western region. The equipment were used in illegal mining activities along the Bonsa River. My colleague Irama Smith has more.
Despite government efforts to combat illegal mining, the activities continue to increase, particularly in water bodies and forest reserves. The Takwa and Soye municipality's sole water source, which supplies thousands of gallons to Takwa and surrounding communities, has been forced to shut down due to illegal mining operations. Several acres of farmland and cocoa farms along the Bonsa River at Bonsarire and Isuso have been destroyed in the search for gold. On Thursday, April 10, a joint security operation was conducted against illegal miners in Isuso, Bonsarire and Bonsa. The operation, involving personnel from the Western Naval Command, the Takoradi Air Force, and the Western Central Command of the Ghana Police Service, resulted in the seizure of 5 excavators, confiscation of 1 tricycle and 1 motorcycle, and the destruction of 8 giant pumping machines. The National Security Liaison Officer for the Western Region, Brigadier General Musa Waja, retired, who led the operations, assured the residents of Takwa and its adjoining communities that the security services are ready to rescue the Bonsa River from illegal miners.
In keeping with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama initiative, Blue River Initiative, the Regional Minister, Honorable Joseph Nelson, instructed RESEC, the Regional Security Council, to ensure that all illegal miners are evicted along the Bonsa River. And I want to assure the good people of Takwa that the Bonsa River will be rescued, and there is no way we are allowed these illegal miners to operate again.
Gershon Ashawa's farmland has been destroyed by illegal mining activities.
Because I did the Muya, I will try. A bet me, it needed near my business obey. On ye, and the dashing a best say cry. A best say cry. Miss a coming quadianca. Or mine, a no, or map, and my penny. He say in your papa, Mahama. So what me I didn't ask you from past of Wagma with my area.
Earlier this week, the Western Central Police Command, Takwa, arrested some 22 individuals for illegal mining at Dominas Nkwanta and Ajaka Manso. All the suspects have been remanded by the Senkigwa District Court pending further investigations. Meanwhile, the Western Regional Minister and Chairman of the Regional Security Council, Joseph Nelson, says there are plans to deploy security personnel to safeguard the Bonsa River and other rivers.
The fight will have to continue because my observation is that usually when such an operation is executed, they back off. I mean, you know, some of them really run away, we are unable to get them. And so they go stay off for some time and then they come back when they think that the coast is clear for them to go continue with their illegal activity. So what we are going to do from hence is to have patrols, you know, military patrol, police patrols, whatever it is that will ensure that these people don't get back to those areas to continue to pollute the water.
Well, the crackdown is not just on equipment. Foreign nationals are also in the spotlight because the government's intended plan to deport foreign nationals involved in illegal mining, known as Galamsey, has ignited fierce debates. While some back the move, environmentalists insist that all offenders, Ghanaian and foreigners alike, must all face the full force of the law to curb the devastating impact on the country's land and water bodies.
Despite repeated crackdown by successive governments, Galamsey continues to ravage Ghana's environment, polluting rivers, destroying forests, and threatening livelihoods. At a key stakeholder forum to profess solutions, experts and community leaders demanded a new approach to end the menace, one that holds every offender accountable.
We've heard the government say they are going to deport foreigners who are caught up in it. Then as a country, we are failing. We don't want to do the right thing. I think that we also need to ensure that as Ghanaians who have laws that we work with, we need to apply the law as it is. There shouldn't be any favoritism. There shouldn't be any fear of favor. Just because people of a particular class, they are not prosecuted as they should.
Without consequences for inaction, but also reward for action, we are always going to be in a crisis because, miners who really want to live by the rule and, reclaim and mine responsibly don't often find incentive for doing that because it's costly, but they also see others who just don't act and yet get away with it.
Contributing to the discussion, traditional leaders in mining communities also propose some solutions.
If you didn't give it to the district assemblies and you sit in Accra, giving the permit, don't be sitting down idle. doing nothing. And they are going to enforce the laws at the district. So to my point of view, that would be the best solution to solve the problem and to solve the pollution of the water. We will be at your palace and they will bring a letter that they are giving the lances that you should come and mine in your community without your consent. If they are going to give permit to the miners, they have to consult us, whether it's good for us or not.
The forum brought together small-scale miners, traditional authorities, district officials, and regulators, all seeking a lasting solution to Galamsey. Government has already indicated its commitment to bring an end to this menace. But the big question remains, will the fight be a success this time around?
To some more news this evening, the health minister has uncovered breakdown in critical medical equipment at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital Ridge. This comes after a surprise visit revealed key diagnostic equipment had not been functioning for years, despite official reports indicating otherwise. Deborah Abamensa has the details.
Many public health facilities in Ghana have long struggled with poor maintenance culture, leading to frequent equipment breakdowns and service disruptions. Ghana's Health Minister Kwabena Minta Akando has expressed deep concern over the state of critical medical equipment at Greater Accra Regional Hospital, popularly known as Ridge Hospital. This follows an unannounced visit to the facility, during which the minister discovered that two essential machines, the MRI and CT scan, which serves Ghana and some West African countries, have not been operational for the past 2 years. This revelation contradicts the transition report presented to him, which stated that the equipment had been repaired and was in use.
During the transition period, we read certain documents to the effect that there was a program running, that program was supposed to fix all these equipment. But later in the report, I remember that they said these facilities or these equipment had been fixed. But unfortunately, that is not the case.
The minister announced new policy directives will soon be rolled out to ensure strict accountability across all health facilities.
Policy directions. I've said it everywhere that I do not understand why hospitals, district hospitals, regional hospitals, teaching hospitals cannot invest part of their internally generated funds into maintaining the facilities. We'll have the opportunity to meet all the medical directors, the CEOs of these facilities, and that would be a policy direction every CEO or every medical director should comply with. Else, you have no business being at post.
Turning his attention to procurement issues, the minister also responded to concerns about awarded contracts and alleged breaches.
We had a lengthy conversations or chat with the management, and we've had that first-hand information. We have assured them that they will hear from us. They must also have their peace to work. These are health professionals. Whatever we have heard from them, we will reflect on them. We'll take the necessary documentations, and then they will hear from us very, very soon.
He added that a full-scale review is currently underway to address the inefficiencies and restore public confidence in the healthcare system. For now, the ministry says it is committed to ensuring all health facilities are properly equipped and managed to deliver quality.
Well, from health to education, the Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, has announced that President John Dramani Mahama has granted exemptions to academia from the recent suspension on post-retirement contract. The suspension, which affects retired public servants aged 60 and above, according to the minister, does not apply to faculty and non-faculty members of the education sector.
Has taken a major decision on post-retirement contract of appointments to public service and for retired public servants who has attained the age of 60 with a new strong government position not to grant post-retirement contracts. The essence of this briefing is to assure the men and women in academia that they are not affected by this decision, and therefore faculty and faculty members be assured that they are exempt from this directive. And for their purposes, they will go through their councils, the public service and appropriate institution where necessary for those approvals to be granted.
Despite the award of construction of a new bridge on the Yape River in the Western Gonja district, the Ghana Highway Authority is warning of serious cracks in developing on the existing bridge that poses threats to users despite repair works in 2017. After outliving its 50 years lifespan, the roads minister is urging a speedy construction of the new bridge that is currently at 7%.
The Yape Bridge is a steel bridge over the White Volta in Yape of the Central Gonja district of the Savannah region of Ghana. It's one of the two bridges at Wipe and Yape on a stretch that crosses the Black and White Volta respectively. The bridges serve as a link for commuters, especially heavy-duty vehicles that transport goods from the southern part of the country to not only the northern part of the country but also to the Sahelian countries such as Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger. Constructed in the mid-1960s, the Ghana Highway Authority in November 2017 closed down the bridge over dilapidation, a move that posed serious risk to motorists and pedestrians for major maintenance works. It was subsequently reopened to traffic on December 22, 2017, awarded in October 2024 for an entire construction of 240 meters. $180 million is being expended for 4 bridges. That's in Yape, Daboya and Nawini. Maripoma Enterprise Limited are local contractors for the 4 bridges.
The steel beams, as you see them, had cracks. We had to remove the entire running surface and redo it. Yes, there are still some cracks developing every now and then. So this is just, we are in the residual stages of this bridge.
The Minister for Roads, Kwame Govins-Agboje, says the economic significance of the bridges cannot be underestimated.
He also noticed that the work pace is beginning to peak, especially the substructure work. We just want to implore the contractor, which is a wholly Ghanaian entity, $180 million for the 4, not only this one, for the 4. And we are hopeful that they will meet their deadline. One of the problems in the ministry is projects running beyond their contractual period. So we are hopeful that this one will not be one of those. It's a bridge. It's not in your interest to keep here beyond the 2 years.
The Ghana Highway Authority is warning the beams of the existing bridge is currently under serious threat.
Yeah, I think that is the reason why we decided to do the new bridge. So if there are any cracks appearing now, we will definitely take care of it. So there is no, we will have to allay the people's fear that we have made all contingency plans to make sure that the old bridge is still, we finish the new one.
Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Yape.
You're watching News 360 live from our studios here, number 35, Jane Hamlin Street in Accra, live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. We're going for a break. We're back with more stories. Please stay with us.
Good evening. It's time now for some business news with me, Minu Afol. Fuel consumers should expect a reduction in prices at the local pumps for the remainder of the first half of the year, offering some respite. This positive projection is based on the current stability of the cedi against major trading currencies and the downward trend of both crude oil and finished petroleum product prices on the global commodities market.
The Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSE, indicates that the relative strength of the cedi is playing a crucial role in ensuring the favorable fuel prices at the Ghanaian pumps. West Texas Intermediate crude is currently trading around $61 per barrel, and Brent crude is at approximately $64 per barrel.
First window of May and also the second window of May, as well as the first window of June, price of petroleum products will continue to decline because by then these crude would have been purchased or procured and refined into a finished product. So we should expect a lot of decline in the price of petroleum products locally.
Director of CEMSE, Benjamin Insia, explores the impact on general price levels in the economy.
It's also likely going to decrease our inflationary figures because anytime petroleum prices decline, the cost of transportation decline, and goes to affect food inflation because all these depend on transport, and transport depends on fossil fuel, which is petrol or diesel.
However, the fall in the prices of crude oil is expected to lead to revenue shortfall for government.
If we wanted $74 per barrel and prices have plummeted, it means is that we are going to get lesser than expected. So it is likely going to have some negative impact on our revenue, and that also means that as a country we must begin to think of how we are realigning our expenditure against our new revenue projection.
Let's now take your attention to Ghana's money market, which is witnessing a notable shift in investor sentiment characterized by persistent undersubscription of treasury bills in recent weeks. Interest rates averaging 16.83% appears insufficient to retain investors who are increasingly seeking alternative avenues for their funds.
Ghana's money market has experienced undersubscriptions. On March 24, T-bills were undersubscribed by some 18%. It was 16.57% undersubscribed on March 31, and on April 7, T-bills were undersubscribed by 7.60%. It means investors are moving away from the money or treasury bills market. Interest rate on T-bills averages 16.82%.
Clearly, you will see that these rates are below inflation. Inflation as at the end of the first quarter 2025 was at 22.4%. And so any investor, whether individual investor, retail investor, or institutional investor who is buying treasury bills currently will be making a real negative rate of return.
Where are investors diverting the funds to?
Activity as at the end of the first quarter on the stock market increased by 29% as compared to 2024 first quarter, with a total value of trade about 473 million Ghana cedis and a year-to-date performance of a little over 27%, which means that the stock market is actually outperforming inflation. You will see that investors are tilting their attention towards the stock exchange because that is what can give them a little bit of returns compared to inflation that we are currently seeing in Ghana.
And away from that, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has strongly pushed back against government's justification for increasing the Growth and Sustainability Levy, saying the move misrepresents the true economic contribution of the mining industry. This comes after the 2025 budget raised the levy from 1% to 3%, citing rising gold prices and under-captured resource rents.
In a detailed response, the Chamber of Mines argues that government's narrative about the mining sector underpaying taxes is misleading. While government says the country hasn't fully captured economic rents from natural resources, the chamber says available data tells a different story. Citing the World Bank, it revealed that mineral rents averaged below 3% of GDP over a 30-year period and cannot exceed total mineral revenue, which contributed about 8% of Ghana's GDP in 2024. The chamber also clarified that mineral rents are shared among government, communities, and companies, not kept entirely by investors. It referenced studies by the Natural Resource Governance Institute indicating that government captures around 50 to 60% of those rents. Despite recent gains in global gold prices, the chamber warns that not all mining firms are reaping windfalls. It says the increase in the Growth and Sustainability Levy unfairly affects producers of other minerals like manganese and bauxite, which have not seen similar price surges. Between 2020 and 2023, member companies spent close to $2.9 billion annually on local goods and services and contributed over $1 billion in taxes and other investments yearly. The chamber is calling for dialogue with government to ease the pressure on struggling companies and is also pushing for a legal framework similar to the Petroleum Revenue Management Act to ensure transparency in how mineral revenues are used.
Let's now take a look at how the cedi is faring against major trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are faring on the global market. And that's it for Business Tonight here on News 360. I am Menu. Our full sports news is up next. Please stay with us.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Deshen. Now on to our first story. In the Division 1 League, Atram Divise defeated league leaders Hoho United by 1-0 at the Tuba AstroTurf in the round 23 match of the ongoing Division 1 League earlier on Friday. Atram Divise snapped the league leaders' 6-game unbeaten run with a 1-0 win thanks to a penalty. Despite this setback, Hoho United remain at the top of the league in Zone 3 level with a commanding 6-point advantage over second-place Port City, who has a game in hand. Atram Divise's win moves them 8 points above the drop zone, giving them renewed hope in their fight against relegation. Now, the Minister of Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Adams, believes the Division 1 League looks competitive as compared to some of the top-flight matches. The Buem Member of Parliament made this assertion during his visit at the Tuba AstroTurf to witness that game between Atram Divise and Hoho United.
Well, it's been a good game. You know, I was watching the game with the assistant coach of the senior national team, John Painter, and he's been a player and a coach before. So he was kind of like running comments as the game went on the first half. And we are impressed with the quality of play. Indeed, it looks like the Division 1 competition looks very healthy and quite interesting than sometimes when you watch the Premier. I've watched some of the Premier clubs play and I've watched this Division 1 match here and I really enjoyed it, the quality of play.
That was the Minister of Sports and Recreation, Honorable Kofi Idi Adams. Now, moving on to the Ghana Premier League. Mediama are currently leading Dreams FC by 3-0 and have a penalty in addition and could make it 4-0 to them. But here are some of the fixtures for the weekend. Accra Lions are playing against Basake Holy Stars. Asante Kotoko on Sunday will play against Bechem United. Brekum Chelsea versus Hearts of Lions. Bibiani Gold Stars versus Young Apostles. Karela versus Eduana. Legon Cities versus Salmatex. And Vision FC versus Heart of Oak. Now in England, Egyptian international Mohamed Salah has committed to Liverpool until 2027, signing a new contract with the Reds on Friday. A 32-year-old's future at Anfield had been a subject of intense speculation, but he has now extended his stay at the club for an additional 2 years. Liverpool manager Arne Slot has expressed his delight at Salah's contract extension.
He can show Sunday again how important he has been for the whole season to us. I think for the fans it is. I don't think it's a surprise to you that I knew a bit better how his contract situation went over the course of the whole season. So maybe for the fans it was a pleasant surprise. I knew it a bit longer, of course, that things were heading in the right direction. And I think it's also a big compliment for Richard that he achieved to extend Mo Salah, who is such a great player, as a free agent, can go probably to every club in the world wherever he wants to. But he stayed at our club, and that's also a compliment for Richard, I think.
Now, still on the Premier League, Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta says his team will set aside their impressive win over Real Madrid in the Champions League quarter-finals and focus on the upcoming Premier League match against Brentford, aiming to stay competitive in the title race despite being 11 points behind league leaders Liverpool.
I understand, probably in terms of the impact he had worldwide and the context and the manner that we did it, probably the one that the people would talk the most, you know. But at the end, it's another game for us, and it's still a lot to do. And but I think it's great for us as a team as well to build this moment, those connections, and that history together. Yeah, so with Dek and Bukayo, they are both fit, so it was just a matter of 2 kicks, and they recovered well, so they are available for tomorrow. And Ricky's progressing really well. I think to give you a timeline difficult because he needs to step up, especially having more people around and how Danny reacts after that. But he's in a good place, I think.
Well, some updates from the Ghana Premier League. Mediama just scored their penalty and are now leading Dreams FC by 4 goals to 0. Bringing an end to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Billy Shen. Up next is entertainment with Adjoanuela.
Entertainment news updates here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, should Ghanaian gospel musicians charge for performances in church? Well, the controversial conversation usually generates mixed reaction anytime it comes up. Gospel singer Emoji Music has been sharing his thoughts on this topic.
A school of thought will say that I don't want to charge. I want whoever is inviting me to be a blessing. Another school of thought will say that I want to charge based on certain experiences I've been through, or this is how I want to build my ministry. So it's for us to respect everybody's office and how they want to run it. And if you watch what you're doing and you think that the person who charges is what would come and deliver for you, you discuss with the person gives you his rate. If you can afford it, you invite the person.
And just to be curious, where do you stand?
Me. For me,
this is when we are coming, we know,
Okay, you want to know where I stand? Yeah. As in charging and not charging? Yeah. Okay, so when it comes to corporate events, it's corporate, so we'll charge for that one. Okay. When it comes to church, we believe that we were designed to serve the church, so we won't tell the church how much to give us, but in some cases, we want to know how much we should expect, so that we know how to plan our team on coming. Because if in cases where times where they said, "Oh, come with the whole team," and they'll give us an honorarium which is below what the team can share. You understand? So in some cases, we want to find out what should we expect. If you tell us, then we know that we can go with 3 people or 4 people or 5 people, so that we don't end up, incurring debts.
Now to some more stories. Talented Afrobeat sensation, songwriter and performer Olive the Boy has hosted an exclusive listening party for his much-awaited 8-track EP titled Out of the Blue. The body of work provides a look into the singer's perspective on love and intimacy.
The exclusive listening session provided a great experience for attendees to immerse themselves in the captivating beats and lyrics by Olive the Boy. The EP, consisting of 8 tracks, explores a range of emotions and musical styles reflecting the singer's unique perspective and experiences. On Out of the Blue, Olive the Boy displays his versatility on tracks such as Convo featuring Viola, Tattoo and Bend featuring Sarkodie. Other songs on the project include Survivor, done with King Madi, Design featuring Sounds, and A Fool, done with Nigerian singer Mayokun. Olive the Boy aims to captivate listeners across the globe with his EP Out of the Blue.
Well, that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. But do stay tuned, because tomorrow 9:30 p.m. we've got the reunion of Perfect Match Action. On Sunday at 8 p.m. Date Rush reunion comes your way. My name is Noella Donko. Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Noella. Let's now bring you some international news.
The Nigerian authorities have banned broadcasters from playing the song Tell Your Papa, which criticizes the country's leader. Artist Idris Abdulkarim's lyrics slam President Bola Tinubu and urge his influential son Say to let his father know people are dying through hardship and insecurity, and there is hunger in the country. In a letter to TV and radio stations, the National Broadcast Commission, NBC, which issues licenses and regulates the industry, ordered the track not to be played, saying it violates the country's broadcast code. The NBC said it considered Tell Your Papa's content to be inappropriate and objectionable, adding that it falls short of public decency standards. Ukraine's European allies have pledged 21 billion euros in a new tranche of military support for Kiev in what they described as a critical year for the war. More than half of this, which is 11 billion euros in aid over 4 years, is coming from Germany. The announcement came as members of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group met at NATO's headquarters in Brussels to pledge air defenses, missiles and other gear as Europe sought to fill the gap left by the changed priorities of the US under Donald Trump. Meanwhile, United States President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff has met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg to discuss the war in Ukraine, according to the Kremlin. Ahead of
Well, that's all there is in tonight's bulletin, but as always, more news on our website, 3news.com. Please do well to log on for more. My name is Noble Crosby, Annan.
And I'm Ayisha Yakubu. Have a lovely weekend.